Welcome to the Community Heart and Soul Hero Award ceremony for Upper Chichester and specifically for Frank Sill, who has been nominated by Barbara Kelly. I wanted to present the award to you, and while I'm doing that, Frank, I'd love for you to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about some of the organizations you are working with in Upper Chichester.
Hi, I'm Frank Sill, and the Heart and Soul is here in Upper Chichester Township. I'm actually a little bit more of a regional fellow. I operate in what we call Chichester, which is a school district, Chichester School District, which is a conglomeration of 4 towns: Upper Chichester, Lower Chichester, Marcusville Borough, and Trainer Borough. Our Rotary Club, which I am president of this year, and a long-standing member. I'm actually the longest, not the oldest, the longest member of the club. Gaining on, oh God, I think maybe 35 years in the club, maybe closer to 40, I've counted up. But our club works in all 4 towns. Our Heart and Soul is here in Upper Chichester, but we can't help be connected to every place, the school district, everywhere. Also, I'm involved in our Historic Society. I'm one of the founders of it. It also encompasses all 4 towns. You can't talk about one without the others. And that's basically what I do. I'm a bit of a community activist, and I'm really proud to have been nominated for this award. It sounds rather wonderful. I hope I'm deserving of it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Frank. And thanks for giving us a little bit of a history into the area, because we have a statewide viewership. So it's great to hear about the different sections of the area and not just Upper Chichester. Sure. Barbara, I'd love for you to introduce yourself as well and just tell us a little bit about your affiliation and why you nominated Frank for this award.
Okay, I'm Barb Kelly. I'm the project coordinator for Heart and Soul and also the assistant township manager of Upper Chi. And Frank Sill is the epitome of service to the community. He has been incredible. I'm involved, and so is he. That's how I got to know him extremely well. He's in the Chester Business Association. He oversees Helping Hands, which is a program that the Business Association and Rotary and Township all work together to help the seniors and people who are in need with maintenance projects and things like that. I'm involved in Rotary with him. Unbelievable. He's president at the time, and Historical Society and the school board. He's just all around the person that you go to if you need something to get done. And I think that when I started working in Upper Chi, he was like he's like a mentor to not just me, but a lot of other people. And the Heart and Soul group, it wasn't just me who nominated him, it was the whole group that nominated him. And once his name came up, it was like, that's the guy. Yeah. So he's the guy for Upper Chi.
I have to go out and do something tomorrow with all this.
So like Barb said, Frank, the reason why we created this award, why the Pennsylvania Humanities Council created this award, is because of our Heart and Soul program that we've been doing statewide. Of course, as you know, Upper Chi is one of our communities. And also, the whole ethos of that program is community, and how much community, inclusive community, including everyone, playing the long game, focusing on what matters most. They're kind of the 3 principles of Heart and Soul. And, we created this award during the time of the COVID-19 pandemic because we recognized that even though the world really is dealing with a pandemic that is unprecedented, communities and community members were stepping up to preserve that sense of togetherness and safety and addressing need in ways that were just stunningly fast and, so responsive. And so I was wondering, Frank, if you could talk a little bit about, COVID-19 and how it's affected the communities and the residents, and how you and some of the organizations that you work with have been able to kind of help the community through that.
It's challenging. Being a school director, that's been the most challenging. But of course, we have a big cabinet with a lot of administrators, and we're under state mandates, and so that's one thing. very challenging for the children. But what I would like to talk about is the most effective local organization, not to take anything from Heart and Soul, because Heart and Soul is involved through Barbara Kelly and probably myself a little bit. We have gelled almost every single service club in this town into a single force, which has started before. I want to give Heart and Soul all the credit I can, but we actually started doing that a good while ago. And it wasn't structured, it just happened. I was involved with the Historic Society. Barbara came into Rotary. She helped me at the Historic Society, along with Judy that we were talking about earlier, Judy Stang, and a lot of people. There's a whole litany of people that are service-minded. But for me, Rotary right now, and being president of Rotary, was the most efficient place to leap to action. We have some funds. Although our fundraisers got ripped out from underneath us, along with everybody else. We can't feel sorry for ourselves. Every group in the state and the country had that taken from them. But we had enough to try to identify need. And the immediate need that we identified, we looked around for a week before we just started throwing money places. But it was people, older senior people, afraid to go out because of their susceptibility to this even more than others. So we devised a couple ways to bring food to them. We went to local restaurants in the community, bought a lot of gift certificates for breakfasts and lunch and dinners. And we'd only buy it off of people that were able to deliver it. And then we gave it to a couple of senior, we have a place called Lutheran Knolls, which is not assisted living, but it's close to it, subsidized living. And so we gave a lot out there. And then we have a great connection through one of our members, Joan Irwin, with Ronald McDonald House at the AI DuPont Hospital. And we were able to fund, and they were in the same boat. They did not get to have their telethon this year. My wife was always involved in that. And so I knew that wasn't going to happen for them. So we were able to sponsor several of the breakfasts and dinners. And we're not done. I mean, so that's how a social service group like Rotary was able to immediately have effect. But then it's more far-reaching. We just had a virtual graduation of our Chichester High School, and we had a little bit of a hybrid. We had a drive-through, which was challenging, but we did it. 250 students, I believe,
Wow.
take one. And Rotary did not shirk its responsibility that we did for the last umpteen years, 20 years. We give out 6 $1,000 scholarships, and we still accomplished that in times of COVID and without being able to fundraise. Our members are generous. We all like, giving in this town. So Rotary also sponsored something called RILA at the high schools. RILA stands for Rotary Youth Leadership Award. And we send, at a significant cost, we send a student, preferably a sophomore or junior, to Valley Forge Freedom Foundation for a weekend retreat, if you would, sponsored by Rotary, to develop leadership skills. And this year, I don't know how this happened, but we sent 5 young ladies who strongly represented us. I'm going to try to look into that next year. We got to get a couple guys in there too. But we just received their 5 a PowerPoint about their experience, which was just really impressive. I'm impressed with ourselves that we were able to do this for them, because they called it one of the most life-changing experiences they ever had. So I'm very proud of Rotary. Our Historic Society, we got hit over the head pretty good that we haven't been able to meet. And we had a little conference calling, but we're more about research and all, but still a very important part of a town to have those resources and that ability. We're not real big preservationists going out and laying down in front of bulldozers or anything, but we do help educate our pop, emphasize history. We actually were instrumental in, and Barbara was really instrumental in saving a building, an old schoolhouse
Mm.
And we provided a lot of information about the schoolhouse. And one of our members is actually going to have his office building there in the schoolhouse. That was going to come under the wrecking ball. Other groups, you know, the Chichester Business Association has been very effective on something very similar to Rotary. I'm not part of the board now, but I'm an active member, and that does really well. And what else, Barbara? What am I not thinking about? I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, you know, that's great. I mean, it just shows, you know, first of all, I think it demonstrates, like Barbara said in her nomination form, you know, how involved you are in the community, Frank, in different ways, you know, and that responding to need, you know, can happen in many different ways. And it sounds like the Rotary was one of those organizations that really stepped up quickly. Barbara, did you want to add anything about some of the work that Frank has done?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things, and maybe you said this and I didn't hear it, is the first responders, the masks for the first responders. I mean, that was, I mean, did you say that, Frank? I'm not sure.
No, you do that. You go ahead.
I mean, Frank really stepped up to the plate and thought of safety first, which is really important for the COVID, you know, virus, that he made sure that our police, fire police, emergency teams, and fire companies all got masks that were, you know,
a lot of, you know, several of us stepped up for that job.
Yeah. So
including you, Barbara. You should be getting this award.
I don't think so. But
how about Cokesbury Church? I missed.
Yeah, that was the other thing, is that Cokesbury Church. We have a shelter that we actually provide funds for, and they're providing food for, God, how many, 200 or 300 a week, or is that right, Frank?
They did 300 this past weekend, which was just phenomenal. But we identified this group that without us, we're doing this, we're feeding people.
Yeah.
And we have a member in our Rotary Club, Ethel Guy, and she helped us connect with them, and we were able to help fund them and pay for a couple of the dinners through our funding, but they did the work. Mm-hmm. So there's a, you know, we're, you know, like I said, we're connecting a lot of good people here.
I think one of the good things is Helping Hands, and you talk about that, is that Frank and, you know, realize that some of the senior citizens and people who are, you know, underserved, we're actually getting violations and trying, you know, and for maintenance issues or whatever. And he was like, let's do something here. You know, let's do something. And, you know, the township, the Rotary, and the Business Association under the leadership of Frank, and he, you know, he's helping people, like, right? I mean, you know, Saturday morning we get out there we're helping these seniors who just don't have anything or have anybody, and that to me is like
pretty tough jobs.
It's an epitome of service, you know.
You know what? Barbara keeps steering everything back to me, and I guess that's what this is about. But I'm comfortable with it. That's why I keep trying to talk about something else.
But you know what I think, Frank, is you connect people, and I think that's the biggest thing. You know, he's a team.
That's if I have a strength at all, is I truly love my fellow man, and I love my town and where I grew up. Yeah. And everything just comes from that. You know, it's not a mystery. You know, I like people, and I enjoy what I'm doing. I take great pride in it. I have a successful business, but it hasn't always been about successful business and money for me. You know, there's a different equation there that spells, you know, good life, and that's what I try for. That's what I try for. And you know what? It's not just me. I mean, I am lucky that through Rotary and Heart and Soul and the other organizations, I've been able to, you know, help identify, connect, like Barbara says. You know, we have I'm going to say a couple dozen, it might even be 3 dozen people in this town that are just hard hitters when it comes to community service. And more than that, I would say 6 dozen when you include town boosters and athletic organizations. We have a lot of people that really get up in the morning and put their best foot forward to do good things in this town.
That's wonderful. And I visited Upper Chi a couple of times to train Barbara and the team,
Good.
and it is, and even the summit that they did, what was it, earlier this year? It was the end of last year.
Did you meet my Lauren Aaron?
I did not. No.
She did.
Yes, Lauren. You know Lauren.
Oh, Lauren. Yes. Oh, I thought you said my Lauren. I was like,
she's mine. She's mine. I discovered her. I found her and I brought her to the table. But Barbara has taken full credit for her.
I do not.
I discovered Lauren Aaron.
I do not take it, George does.
She is a wonderful young woman and is really smart. And so that leads to, one of I have a couple more questions, but I think one of the things that I wanted to talk about is the idea of leadership in communities. And there are, formal leaders and informal leaders in all of our communities, meaning like people that are formally recognized like we're doing right now. And Frank, I know you and Barbara would also say that there are people that aren't recognized that should be. How important is it for a community to keep cultivating leaders?
I don't know if I'm going to answer that question correctly, but you struck a chord with me when you asked that question, because I think about this a long time. My observations have been over the years that some groups, even government at the school board or the commissioners, when you get leaders, and I don't know the correct definition of this kind of leader or that kind of leader, I just know the effects of leaders, and you have leaders that possess what they lead and don't let go and don't cultivate change and or giving up their leadership, cultivating new leaders. That's when I see not just that organization fail, but the town fail. And I'm back on here.
Sorry about that.
Not that I want to. But that's something that I really, I'm giving up presidency of Rotary this July 1st. Not that I can't wait. I love being president. I haven't been president for 20 some years. And it wasn't because I couldn't have been. It's because having other people get involved and become president is what, if you really truly love what you're involved with, that's what you do. You don't usurp. Sorry about that. My store is actually open. You don't, well, I got people out there, but my phone will ring if they don't pick up. They actually usurp the organization, which causes everything wrong happens after that. Yeah. So sometimes it's tough because even like myself, as we move forward, I might not agree or think this or that and the new leader, but everybody, you need to do that. The same with government. I think that's why we have all those safeguards built in for term limits and stuff. That's a good idea for charters for organizations like Heart and Soul and Rotary and all that. We have to let leadership evolve and change. And I don't think I answered your question though. You can re-ask it maybe.
No. I think what I'm hearing you say, Frank, is that, it's really important for there to be a change in leadership every so often, right? You need to really bring new people in,
You can't own it. One individual, strong personality, cannot own an organization. It just doesn't work. It just doesn't work well.
Yep. And that's the point in some ways of Heart and Soul.
And you can understand how some people would want to do that they would think that, of course, that they only they know the best moving forward. And no matter how true that may be, it still is detrimental for a group.
Yeah, and that's part of the reason why Barbara, and her team is doing a Heart and Soul is to put the resident voice into whatever happens next, right, with the community.
I'm not familiar with that function of Heart and Soul.
Yeah. So my final question is kind of a fun one. Frank, what do you love about your community? I mean, you grew up in this area, or you've been in this area for quite a long time. Can you talk to me a little bit about what you love about the community? And for those across Pennsylvania,
I'll tell you why I came back here, and it's a bad reason now. But I after high school and local, I went to St. James in Chester. I went to Villanova for a couple years, and then managed to transfer down to the University of South Florida, and spent the next 5 years of my life there. And honestly, I missed the Wawa.
Yeah.
It's my Wawa. But more than that, the real point is, I mean, down there, I mean, I loved it down there. It was nice down there, but I would go in whatever store they had there, or Little General, or whatever, and my humor didn't even go over. The people here, this is where, this is where I grew up. This is where I identify with, and I can go in any Wawa in this town, and even now that it's more corporate, right? And just make the cashier laugh, or know the person's name, and and it's not just Wawa. I mean that for Wawa for everything, the people of Chichester, all 4 towns. I grew up in what we call the lower end, the more socioeconomic struggling end. That's where myself and my friends grew up. And, I want the same experience. That's why I keep working here on the district. I want the same experience for the people that live on my street that I grew up on.
That's great. That's great. Thank you for that. And I do have to say that we have a statewide audience, so some people will be like, "What's Wawa?"
What? Oh, Wawa. Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, they should know. Well. Guess what? I didn't have to leave Florida for Wawa. Wawa came to Florida.
That's true.
And another anecdote, I'll tell you, you're looking at a man that worked in the first Wawa ever opened. I was a clerk at the Wawa in Folsom after school, my junior and senior year in high school. And couldn't wait to get out of that dead-end job. So how stupid was I? But I did. I worked in the first Wawa.
That's funny. Well, and in the state, there's the Wawa versus Sheetz. You guys have Sheetz,
and now Royal Farms is the big one. Right. But I meant that as symbolic of all things I missed about home.
Yeah. And
even now that my family's gone, and some of my friends are gone, the community, I just so, I'm a 66-year-old man that gets asked when he's going to retire. And to me, that would be absolutely the end of my life. I want to be here. I want to find a way to, as long as God willing, I can be here. I love coming to my business. It's my clubhouse. So that's it. If you want to know something about me, I kind of gave it to you somehow.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. Thank you, Frank, for that. And Barbara, so one last question for you. Frank, talked a little bit about his work. Is there anything else that you want to say about, the nomination and about the work that Frank has been doing?
Say something about somebody else, Barbara. Talk about somebody who don't like me. There's a couple people, I'm sure. The township that might be upset with me.
No, I think what it is that Frank is like when you ask something to get done, he's the one that people go to, and I think that's the biggest thing, and that's a compliment. I mean, that really is a big compliment. Not many people you can say, if you want something done, call this one person. I mean, everybody says it. So I really do think that, we're very, very special to have him a part of our heart and souls, our CBA, our education system, and Rotary. We're just lucky to have him. And it was really easy to say his name, and everybody jumped on it saying, okay, no more people. He's our hero. So I think that was really cool. I mean,
I appreciate all those accolades, and I appreciate this award if it helps get other people involved.
Yeah.
The more I hear about myself, the more I hear myself saying, let that go, get him to do that. And I do. I always hope I can be there to help do things. And I am somebody who can get something done, but what I'd like to get done is get some more people involved. And Heart and Soul suits my purpose to some degree.
It does.
He's laughing because he knows that's true.
It is hard, and I get it. It's hard sometimes to let go, but I hear you, Frank. That's the way communities continue, right? Is to say who's next, right? Who's the next person?
Let me hang out and still play.
Right.
Yeah.
Let me hang around.
Yeah. He has the heart and soul of the community in Frank, and I think he's spreading that into other people. And I think it's people who are already leaders and future people. And I think that's what's really key. I think that's what makes him special.
I hope that's true. I hope that happens.
Well, thank you guys. That's a great way to end. I want to thank you both, for taking the time. And Frank, congratulations again on your Heart and
Yeah.
Soul Hero.
Well,